All right, let's get into scheduling for this week. And again, these are notes and scheduling information for this week only. And it doesn't reflect other weeks, past weeks, or future weeks. This reflects what's going on with scheduling of orders for this week. And in doing that, we need to make sure we go up here and cover in what everything, all the information means. So orders are placed in what they call the order bank. Dealers, we call that WebDO, WBDO. That's where the orders are placed, whether it be stock, retail orders, fleet orders, they all are put into there. Retail orders, that's a customer placed order. So that's what Ford likes to call it because it's already sold in their mind. It's ordered to be delivered and sold right away. So that's why they call it that. Stock orders, those are for orders that dealers will put in because if they don't have that many retail orders, but they know they have allocations, they'll want to put some stock orders in. And if they don't put them in, the region will put the orders in for you, or Ford will. And that's for your lot or stock inventory. And that's hopefully dealers are having plenty of that. Priority code. That priority is given to orders by the dealer, for the most part, by the dealer. And the default for a retail order is a 19, but a dealer can change that to anything from an 03 to a 19. And the reason you would put those in different places is it helps, help with an order maybe that's not getting scheduled, or maybe you've had a bunch of orders at the same priority and you have one that keeps getting overlooked. You can move it down to a lower number to help get it, get scheduled. And then 20 to 80 is what normally you put in for stock. So 80 is the default. Lower the better. So if a dealer sees, hey, you know what, the region put in these priority 80 stock orders, but here's the ones that I like, they can move them down to 20s. They can make some changes to them too. That helps them. For us, it helps us manage them. If we know something's still at a priority 80, it means we haven't looked at it and touched it. And so we'll maybe make some change of that, change colors, some things like that. And then we'll change that priority to 20. So when we do get stock scheduling, then then those will get selected first. Scheduling. That is when Ford schedules an order for production dates in future months. We're talking about what Ford is going to schedule this week, and then we'll talk about what production week they're scheduling for. So usually they're about 2 months in advance. And then in some instances, since they're not going to schedule much in December, they're probably going to be talking about 2 months or almost 3 months in advance on some of these. And then allocations. Now, Ford gives dealers allocations to schedule their orders because a dealer needs an allocation to schedule an order in the order bank. You can have 10 orders in there. If you only get 2 allocations, they're not all going to get scheduled. A dealer has to have an allocation to schedule that. So it's not going to be, okay, there's 10 retail orders put in there. That means they're going to give them 10 allocations that month. That doesn't work that way. They earn the allocation based on their sales of each model within their region. And now Ford is starting to add how well they sell EVs within their state too. And actually I need to update this because they're actually changing this and they're doing allocations based on state now instead of region. So there you go. Constraints, those are options that may be in short supply or take longer to build or have already been scheduled out. That's something that you need to consider as well. They've maybe already scheduled out most of the month. So because of that, you might see a limitation of what they can schedule because they don't have open slots for some of those things that they've already scheduled out most of those orders. Capacity, that's the planned production rate for a given motor, trim, or option. And that's where you might see that constraint come in, is if they've already scheduled out their capacity for a certain trim level for a certain model. So then what they have left is what their any leftover capacity for the other trim levels. And so because of that, that's what they might be scheduling instead and have the availability. Job 1 and 2, that is production run within a model year. It's split into 2 different runs because if they need to incorporate anything or add something or change something because of supply issues, then they can make those changes for job 2 and keep production going. All right, balance out. That's the end of production or the balance out a particular option or package or something like that, or even a color. So there you go. All right, hope that makes sense. So, all right, we're going to get into this for this week, and we're going to start with the 25 model year Mustang. So there's currently 598 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank, not too many for the Mustang. The order banks are open up, including Dark Horse, but if you do place a Dark Horse order, ask your dealer if they have allocations because that's going to be part of it. They're going to need that. Now, they are scheduled this week for production dates, the weeks of December 30th through January 27th. So, by the way, plants are not building the last 2 weeks of December. They're not going to schedule the last 2 weeks of December. So that you're talking, this is basically the first, those are the weeks in January for starting up production again after the plant's been down. Main commitment, Dark Horse handling package won't be available until April of 2025. So if you have a Dark Horse order, dealer has a Dark Horse application, they're going to want to push you to get something that doesn't have a handling package because they are not going to have that until later. The Mustang Night Pony package with the black painted roof is available only for retail scheduling. So that's only those special customer orders. For stock orders, the vehicle must have black exterior paint if you want the Night Pony package. So there you go. Limited availability for the 5.0 liter V8 engine. That is the standard GT engine. Also very limited to exhausted for the EcoBoost engine, the 2.3 liter. So basically what they're really looking for, looks like to me, is to kind of finish out probably any last ones they have for the GT, but also focus on the Dark Horse, it looks like, because they probably, looks like last week, were able to schedule most of their production month for the GTs and the EcoBoost. All right. Next up is the 25 model year Escape. There's only 70 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. For the Escape, the order banks are open up for all trim levels, including the plug-in hybrid and all your hybrids. They are scheduling this week for those January build dates, the week of December 30th through January 27th, the week of. And this just says main commitment. Main commitment means that it's not just retail, but they'll also do stock. If a dealer has allocations and they don't have retail orders, then they'll schedule stock. So sometimes you'll see a mixture of both. If the dealer doesn't have, if they have a mixture, if they have some retail orders, I should say. All right, that's all they have in there. No constraints on anything from what we have in any notes here. Next up, the 25 model year Bronco Sport. Currently only 160 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. The order banks are open up, so you can schedule anything you want. Even those Sasquatch packages are available to order. This is job one balance out scheduling for this week, which means they want to finish out job one before moving to job two. So some of the job two stuff is your Sasquatch packages for the Outer Banks and the Badlands. Those are job twos. So those will not schedule. Those will start producing in February. So they are scheduling this week for the weeks of, they need to finish out December, but then also they need to schedule for January. So you're going to see a mixture of both. So a lot of different dates they could schedule for here. And a couple of little notes here that they're going to use OTD orders. They're going to release them. So they did a couple of weeks ago. Basically, OTD I'm not sure exactly what the abbreviation stands for, but basically they're going to put orders in for dealers by configurations that they know they can schedule and that they need help getting in there so they can continue production at a full capacity. So they said adding the Big Ben to that with the Black Diamond off-road package will improve order timing for Big Ben orders. Now, I have to say this. The Black Diamond off-road package is so much better than it was in 24 model year. So I encourage you to think about ordering those as dealers because that is a pretty cool package. If you want to take your Big Ben off-road, you're going to be able to do it with that Black Diamond off-road package. Also, Sasquatch Outer Banks and Badlands Outer Bank Sasquatch packages will be job twos. You can order those now, but they just won't get scheduled until they're ready to start scheduling job two, which is not this week. They are needing some orders, like we mentioned earlier, with the Black Diamond off-road package. They also need some Outer Banks orders as well. And then they need some very limited to exhausted on the all-season tire that they put on about all the different trim levels. So it's the 225, 65, R17. And exhausted availability for January scheduling. So for the Black Appearance package and the Heritage version. So those packages there are pretty much almost already scheduled for January. So if you have one of those, you might have to wait a little longer, but hopefully you didn't have any issues getting yours scheduled on that. But again, they need to, looks like they're still trying to fill in those last holes for December. That's why those December build dates are there. And I think what they had said last week was they needed those Black Diamond off-road packages to fit in there. And I don't think people realize, I might have to do a video on this, but that Big Ben with the Black Diamond off-road package, I'm telling you, that's a pretty good package. So you might think about that. Next up is a 25 model year Bronco. Currently 779 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. The order banks are open up for 25 model year. You can order a base. They're just not scheduling until later. So actually, I don't know if you can even order one. Actually, it may not be able to. I haven't tried, I guess. But that is the only thing that's a late availability is that. Everything else can be ordered. They are scheduled for the startup for production for January 13th through the week of January 27th. And this is main commitment. So they will schedule stock and retail orders. I think last week was specialty only. So it was Strop Edition and Raptor. But this week they'll open that up for other scheduling. And it does say in here, sim orders were created this past weekend. So sim orders means it's simulated orders that put those orders in there for dealers. So they don't have to go in and insert their own orders. So they placed orders over the past weekend for non-specialty Broncos. So that dealers that have stock or have no retail orders can get their allocations used. And so for dealers, you want to look at those. You only have a couple of days now to look at those to see if you want any tweaks to those. You might end up with something you may not like. All right, that's all I have for that. Next up, 25 model year Mach-E. There's only 16 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. The order banks are open up. A lot of people don't realize this. There's not build and price on Ford's website. You can look on our website if you want to see pricing and how those would affect your pricing by different configurations. You can do it on our website. But the order banks are open up. You can order with your local dealer, including us. They are scheduling for production weeks January 6th through January 27th. So this is startup for 25 model year and main commitment, which means they will schedule both retail and stock orders. All right. Next up, 25 model year Explorer. Currently, 317 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. The order banks are open up. They are on job 2 ordering. They did make some tweaks and changes to job 2 because of some part issues, like we mentioned earlier in the notes. They are scheduled this week for January 13th through January 27th, which is where job 2 scheduling is. Main commitment, which means they'll schedule, again, like I mentioned earlier, retail and stock. And then they are limited availability for the ST version. Looks like they scheduled most of those last week, as well as black painted roof is also limited availability. So it's not that there's a constraint there. It's that they probably already scheduled those out for everything that they could make and produce according to their capacity that they have planned on, right? So, all right. Next up, 25 model year Expedition. Currently 1,522 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank, including mine. And the order banks are open up right now for that, so you can place those orders. They are scheduled this week for weeks of January 6th through January 27th. Now, scheduling only a limited amount of OTD fitness stock orders. So they're going to start. This is really weird. Normally, you start right off with retail orders, but not on the Expedition for this year. They are not scheduling any retail orders. If you have a retail Expedition order, then you're not going to get scheduled. They're going to schedule stock orders first to start off. So I heard this first month is going to be all stock and not retail orders. And I think it's because they want to get those onto dealer lots first so they can show people how awesome they are. So, but there you go. 25 model year Maverick is currently 1,670 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. Not that many. They are order banks are open up to schedule about anything, with exception job 2 stuff is not in there. And I'll talk about job 2 and the live. If you go to the live stream and check that out, we're going to talk about that. But job 2 is not available to order right now. I did check last night. It is not there. If you check Ford's website, you can see some of the job 2 items are shown on the website now as options as part of the Lariat and the Tremor and Lobo 702A. And it even shows the Lobo 402A option on the website too, but you cannot order those in the ordering system yet. So just be patient if you're waiting for that stuff. This is job 1 balance out scheduling. So they will not be able, they probably won't even put orders in there until after maybe Friday they'll open it up because they need to finish out job 1 scheduling. So they're going to schedule the weeks of December 2nd through January 27th. So that which through January is when job 1 production is done. You can order Lobo 702A, but not 402A right now. They are needing some XLT orders with the black appearance package. It does say required orders in here, as well as the Tremor. They're saying are required orders for dealers, but Yeah. So they're going to probably put in some stock orders for dealers that don't have any retail orders that they need to fulfill, or maybe if they, and here's a situation where sometimes the dealer might have allocations and they might have retail orders, but those retail orders don't get scheduled because they've already scheduled out everything those are, and they're not something that they can schedule because of the capacity that they have. Whereas they're looking for XLT black appearance package orders and trimmer orders. So if a dealer doesn't have any retails that are those, but they can schedule those, they'll put in some stock orders for them, and those will get scheduled. So that's how sometimes that can happen. So, and then limited availability for the Lariat version, as well as the 2K trailer tow receiver hitch, which is optional on the XL, but standard on XLT and above. And then very limited to exhausted for the XL version. So it sounds like to me, they've already scheduled out for January and December all the Lariats and XLs that their capacity can meet, and so their planned production. So if you didn't get scheduled on one of those two, that means that they've hit their capacity for that month. So you might have to wait until February production to be able to get fulfilled. So that's a possibility. Or it's that your dealer doesn't have allocations. One of those two reasons. So there we go. That's all I have for that. 25 model year Ranger. There's currently 499 unscheduled retail orders in order bank. You can order the Ranger, including Ranger Raptor. They are scheduling this week for production weeks January 13th through January 27th, which is startup production for the Ranger. And this is main commitment. So they'll schedule retail and stock orders, a mixture depending on, they always look for retails first, but then if they don't have any retail orders, then they'll fulfill those allocations for dealers with those stock. So, all right, next up, 25 model year Super Duty. There's currently 3,957 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. The order banks are open up for the 25 model year, so you can place those orders. They are done with 24 model year scheduling. They're going to, I can't remember production where that goes through, but I think it's through December and even into January at certain plants. But they are going to be scheduled this week for scheduling at Kentucky truck plant for the weeks of December 16th through January 13th. Those are 25 model year, and no scheduling at Ohio right now. 24 model year has officially bounced out at both plants, Ohio and Kentucky. Let's see here. What else? Required orders. Yeah, they're still wanting dealers to place those F250 and 350 orders for XL and XLT without the fifth wheel gooseneck hitch prep package. No, thank you. Very limited to exhausted availability for the 17-inch forged polished aluminum wheel that's standard on the King Ranch Lariat Platinum F350. That's optional on the XL and XLT F350. Also, the 17-inch argent painted steel that's standard on the XL and XLT F350. I think that's the one that's on the, I don't think it's the dually, but the single rear wheel. All right, the lug nut cap available on the Lariat F250 single rear wheel, XLT F250 or 350 single rear wheel, and 4x4s with a 10.5 axle. Also, the lug nut cap that's included with the four-wheel drive part-time. It says four-wheel drive for the single rear wheel with the center cap hub. So the dag wheel ornament that's included on the two-wheel drive single rear wheel with the bright hub covers and the 10.5 axle. And also the 4x4 front axles that's available on the F450, 550, 600 with the 4.3 and 4.88 regular rear axle, and the Dana rear axle that's available on the F250 and F350 single wheel pickup with the 6.7 liter engine. So looks like the reason you'll see that those are exhausted or very limited to exhausted is they probably schedule everything that their capacity has because of parts. You'll see there's a lot of parts issues for some of those lug nut caps and some of those things right there. So, all right. Next up, 25 model year F-150. There's currently 1,947 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank for that. The order banks are open up for the F-150. They are scheduled this week for production weeks January 6th through January 27th. They are needing some Raptor orders without the tonneau cover. So they're needing some the 801A and 802As, which is your Raptor and Raptor 37s. So they're needing, evidently, there's some orders in the system that have the tonneau covers on there. I always tell you guys, don't put those on there. Here's a situation where that is a constraint because there are people that have Raptor orders, but they want the covers. Well, what they're trying to say is take those covers off your orders and we can schedule them. Limited availability for the 20-inch dark gray wheel with the machined aluminum wheel that's standard on the STX 200A, as well as the tire 265 70R17 all-terrain tire that's standard on 4x4 XL, and with the 64C wheel, and that's included on the XL 103A with the 64F wheel. So that's the tire that's available on those. So that's it for F-150. All right, next up, 25. Did I say 24 in that? Yeah, 25 F-150. In 25 model year Transit, there's currently 496 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank for the Transit. The order banks are open up for the 25 model year. They are done with 24. That has balanced out. They are going to looking to schedule 25 model year orders start up this week for production weeks January 20th and the week of January 27th. So no constraints yet because they are ready to fulfill those and with full capacity. So there is that. So if you are watching the Wednesday scheduling video, then drop your comments down below. I'll try to answer those as quickly as best I can. Try not to forget any. So drop those in there. Or if you're watching us live, I'll take your questions right now, and we can answer those for you as we go over to Sarah.